Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 15 of This Week in Crypto Philanthropy. I'll be your host this week, Pietro Moran, Director of Crypto at Shift4 Payments. Our co-host, Nick Mikhalevsky, who's Director of Sales at The Giving Block, is unfortunately unable to join us this week. But I do promise you guys we have some very exciting content to cover and a special guest who we will be introducing a little bit later. The exciting run of show for this week, it's going to be a little different than our average podcast. So for folks who are returning listeners, we actually have a different run of show this week. So we're going to cover crypto prices as we always do. Then we'll talk about our weekly donation stats. And then we have a special topic, which is a nonprofit highlight with that special guest who's going to be telling us all about what she's been up to and how she's supporting current nonprofits that are fundraising crypto. So really excited for this week's episode. If you caught the teaser this week online, we mentioned that our Shift4 CEO, Jared Isaacman, is about to embark, weather permitting, on Polaris Dawn, which is a very exciting space mission. More on that a little bit later, but let's dive right into the show with our crypto price check. So for everybody who's tuning in, compared to last week, things have kind of continued on the same trend as they always have. Summer's not too exciting. Not a lot of people trading at their desks. So crypto prices, Bitcoin hovering right around the 60,000 mark, Ethereum right around 2,500, and then other major crypto coins also doing kind of similar price action. Not too up, not too down, not too exciting. And that's all about what we've kind of been seeing this summer. Honestly, when Nick and I normally discuss price action, we talk about how summer is not always when there's fireworks happening, and that's pretty normal. So nothing new really on that front. I will say, though, one area that is kind of still red hot, and I'm kind of stealing Nick's thunder this week, so happy to do so, is talking about our donation highlights for the past 7 days. The past 7 days have been kind of exceptional. We have over $278,000 worth of crypto gifts being donated in the last 7 days. Really interesting. We're seeing some other currencies being donated than what is our traditional. Bitcoin normally takes the number one spot in crypto donations. This week, it's USDC with over $108,000 of donations, followed by Solana. It's cool to see, another altcoin doing very well on the donation front. We had almost just shy of $80,000 of Solana donations in the last week, followed by Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Link. The Link Marines, shout out to you guys for donating. We see you wherever you are. And one thing that's not really on the slide or any of the visuals that you'll hear is that some of the recipients, we had a $50,000 donation go to a community foundation, as well as a $30,000 donation. So really transformative gifts going to various nonprofits all over the country. We're super stoked to see those major gifts come in, but obviously supported by a variety of gift sizes, both transformational, small, recurring, etc. So awesome week for donation stats on the crypto front. As always, check out thegivingblock.com if you want to see which nonprofits are accepting crypto donations. And now, preamble aside, we're very excited to be talking about our special topic today, which is a nonprofit spotlight. Today, we're going to be covering a cause that is very near and dear to the Shift4 family, which is St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And this is a topic that I'd be remiss if I went alone. So joining me today is Emily Facilla, who is our Director of Client Strategy here at The Giving Block. Emily has over a decade of experience in the nonprofit world, has been fundraising crypto for 7 years. So truly an OG as far as crypto philanthropy goes, and has been an all-around rock star here at The Giving Block, really working hands-on with our clients, helping enable them and their fundraising to achieve its maximum potential. So Emily, thanks so much for joining me. It's great to have you here on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. So happy to be here. Love seeing that donation volume and those donation highlights, especially as we're just on the brink of end of year fundraising planning for so many nonprofits. I think I've had 14 client meetings this week with different nonprofits that are part of the Giving Block. So things are ramping up for sure, but super excited to talk about St. Jude today.
And for everybody listening in too, we're recording this on a Wednesday. So 14 by Wednesday is pretty impressive. It's not like we're catching you at the end of the week here. Before we jump in and talk about St. Jude's, which is obviously a phenomenal cause, and I want to give them the shine this episode, really wanted to take a quick step back and understand a little bit more about your background. I think we have a lot of nonprofit professionals, crypto curious donors, and just folks across the board that may not understand what a nonprofit professional who transitioned into the crypto space, what that journey maybe looks like. If you could educate us, I mean, that's certainly not my background. So I think you're really the expert and somebody who's done it, quite frankly, for a long time. I mean, 7 years is a very long time in crypto. It's like dog years, right? You multiply by 7 or 10 or whatever it is. Like, tell us about that journey and how you ended up here and maybe what you do with our clients too. Cause I know sometimes it can be a question mark and I'd love to get folks a little bit of insight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any of my nonprofit professionals that are listening to this will understand in the nonprofit sector, when a gift of a substantial size comes through to your organization, you pay attention to it, right? So an organization I was working for, Pencils of Promise, received $1 million in Bitcoin at the end of 2017. Imagine what that would be worth now. It's incredible to think about. And I really was not into crypto back then, but as happens in the nonprofit sector, my CEO said, can you figure out this crypto thing? We want to get more of this. And so that really started me on a journey for what is crypto philanthropy. And at that time, really, it was only Bitcoin in the space being highlighted. And that gift was huge for our organization. We were like a $4 million organization at the time. So big piece of our budget. We were able to be really creative about how we were going to sustain a gift of that size. And so I was tasked with it, started learning about it, got connected with the Giving Block. We became a client of the Giving Block years ago. And then really dove into the world of not just crypto, but blockchain technology in general. There's so much potential with Web3. I mean, it's a very hot topic in the nonprofit sector as well right now, talking about AI. And I joined the Women in Blockchain Council here in New York City. So started up on some of that self-education so that I could understand who these donors are. And now that's what I do with our over 2,000 clients that are part of the Giving Block, is really coach them on who the donors are that are giving crypto, how to get connected with them, how to steward them, because it does look a little bit different from traditional fundraising. At the end of the day, though, these are people, projects, and communities that have a lot of passions that our nonprofits are fulfilling. And so it's been so rewarding to join the team internally, get to really expand that impact and some of that early education that I was kind of lucky enough to receive. I mean, at the beginning, I joke about it now, but I was very resistant against taking on crypto. I was like, I have so many other fundraising things going on. We had galas, our individual donors. I was our board liaison, our advisory board. And I was kind of like, how will I fit this in? And, years later, I'm so glad I did, because we're truly just getting started in crypto philanthropy. There's so much potential in this space. And I love to see all the nonprofits on our platform start to benefit from leaning into some more innovative fundraising.
That's amazing. I think it's really interesting to I came from the crypto world and found the Giving Block and then sort of Shift4 and the payments world. But it's really cool to see how, first of all, maybe I'll make a comment to say somebody who's been doing crypto philanthropy for 7 years saying this is still the tip of the iceberg. It's kind of reassuring, I think, not only to me, who's not really a tried and true nonprofit professional, but maybe folks listening in that are saying, well, maybe we missed the boat. It's clear that, maybe you've just been around longer than 99% of others in this category. And that's why we're lucky to have you. But, as we were talking kind of in the preamble to the show and teeing up kind of your expertise as well, talking about St. Jude's, right? They've been a client of the Giving Block. They've been supported by the folks at Shift4, and I think are a real testament to what success looks like in crypto philanthropy and maybe philanthropy generally speaking. Would love to understand how you engage with them, talk about maybe the mission that you've helped support in crypto particularly. It's really funny because my experience to them has been somewhat as, a fan, but maybe from a distance, so to speak. I'm not so much helping on the day-to-day donation front. But oddly enough, when I go to crypto conferences, I do see that they actually have booths, whether it's at Consensus. I saw them at ETH Denver. And that to me is like kind of a fun like head turn where I'm like, wait, a nonprofit's here. It's not another startup. pretty crazy, but would love to hear more about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis with those guys.
Yeah, I mean, with an organization as strong as St. Jude, you nailed it. They are not only a wonderful philanthropic organization in general from a fundraising perspective, but why they've seen so much success with us is because they're not afraid to be innovative. They're not afraid to try new things and really lean in. And that's what we're seeing not only with the crypto side with them, but also, some of their philanthropy with Shift Force specifically is fantastic. And St. Jude is, working on global solutions for cancer research. And it's been so rewarding to learn more about them. And that's probably my favorite part of my job at the Giving Block is learning about more deeply about every organization, because St. Jude is kind of a household name for many individuals. We've probably heard of it. We've probably seen them somewhere. They've got that brand recognition. But they are so much more than the brand, right? They are doing incredible things. And a lot of that made possible by their crypto fundraising and by their innovative fundraising techniques and that willingness to go there. So really, I meet our nonprofits where they are. So for a smaller local nonprofit that maybe doesn't have that brand awareness, we're going to focus on general donor acquisition. How do we get that next generation of donors to learn about us, pay attention to us, and eventually give to us? And typically, as we look at the trends for how millennials are investing, that next gen of donors are going to want to give to you in crypto as well. So it has to be available. But the availability of that as a giving mechanism is just one piece of it. The awareness is so critical. And so for somebody like St. Jude, we're able to be more innovative with them. Their appearance at different conferences is something that we can offer any of our clients. We can let them know, hey, these are the top conferences in your area that you can go meet and cultivate these potential crypto donors in real life. And we know how important IRL remains to be, right? So yes, crypto donations happen online. A lot of the stewardship and cultivation can happen online, but nothing beats being in person still. And so that can be a really great tactic. As you've seen, you're kind of head turning. What is this organization doing here? They're doing something really, really smart. And as you said in the beginning, that sense of, okay, are we just at the tip of the iceberg 7 years in, 10 years in? But we really are. And what I'm finding is it's actually going to become even easier for nonprofits to fundraise crypto if they're set up to do so in an easy way where they can meet their donors where they are. We're seeing more mainstream trends be applicable in crypto fundraising, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think one of the themes of the early podcast episodes, I mean, we're in 15th, in the 15th edition right now, but, Nick and I always talk about the institutional adoption of crypto, right? And more mainstream or say traditional outlets, embracing it, educating themselves, and then amplifying the messaging, or at least accenting the differentiation of what the technology enables or some of the sort of value propositions there. I think oftentimes with tech, right, it's the startups and sort of the for-profits that kind of catch the bleeding edge of things first. But in this form factor, right, it's like, yeah, the internet's amplification, and it's a great way to, conduct your education mission outreach. But then again, like, you can solicit a donation from somebody across the planet without having to worry about like a lot of the traditional encumbrances or difficulties with like financial infrastructure. And like, I saw your tweet on Twitter saying you accept my favorite coin, and now I have some extra I want to give away. It's like a really cool thing. And then you mix that with the sort of in-person fundraising or cultivation. I think it's a really interesting addition to the toolkit, and kind of parlays itself really well into talking about our special topic for today. Obviously, we're highlighting St. Jude. Adjacent to that, though, is the Polaris Dawn mission, which our CEO, Jared Isaacman, should be embarking on any day in partnership with SpaceX. So for those that maybe aren't aware of what's going on, a crew of folks is going out past the ISS, so the International Space Station, and actually will be conducting the first ever commercial spacewalk, like new spacesuits, SpaceX spacesuits. I mean, it's pretty epic. I've been following online just to keep tabs on what's going on. But Emily, I know this story started a little bit earlier. I learned about it in a Netflix documentary, actually, called Inspiration 4. But why don't you tell us a little bit about, St. Jude and how they've been kind of using like the, I would say very inspiring, like, space kind of odyssey theme, if you will, to help generate more enthusiasm for what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the first time St. Jude partnered up with our CEO, Jared Isaacman, was in the Inspiration 4 civilian space mission. From that, Jared donated 100 million himself. They raised 200 million. What is so fascinating to me about this through line is that in 1962, the same year that an American orbited the Earth for the first time, a hospital named St. Jude Children's Research Hospital opened in Memphis, Tennessee. And their goal, their mission was really to deliver on a very ambitious at the time mission to find cures for kids with cancer and other life-threatening diseases, regardless of race, ethnicity, beliefs, or family's ability to pay. So they've got this nice through line of that year, right? 1962. Since that time, treatments invented at St. Jude have helped push overall childhood cancer survival in the US from 20% to more than 80%, which honestly gives me chills, right? 1962 is not that long ago, and there has already been a 4x return on things that were invented at St. Jude. So I'm so excited about this mission because from that first mission, from Inspiration 4, some of that $200 million raised really allowed St. Jude to look at, okay, how can we take this to the next level? They recognize and have said that in many developing countries, fewer than 1 in 5 children with cancer will live. So they're, one of the single most significant predictors of whether a child with cancer will survive is where they're geographically located right now. So when we think about this mission and the 200 million raised, St. Jude actually was able to partner with WHO, the World Health Organization, to create a global health initiative. And so that is really what came out of some of this first mission and what they're going to do with the funds for the next mission. So it is called the Global Platform for Access to Childhood Cancer Medicines, which will help deliver pediatric cancer medicine in low-income and middle-income countries who otherwise don't have that access. So this next mission, as they are fundraising and really leaning in to the space theme and also just the name of the mission, Polaris Dawn, they are calling it Where No Child Dies in the Dawn of Life, which I think, again, I have chills just thinking about some of that impact from the funding that they are going to receive from this mission. So I am so excited to watch it. As you said, us keeping up with it is very easy at Polaris Program on X for those of you who want to track. But the other thing that you'll see with that program, especially if you go to the website, you'll see the link to learn more about St. Jude. St. Jude is doing so many incredible not only their mission is incredible, but they're doing a lot to make this a very exciting and collaborative time to bring people into their basically second space mission for charity.
I mean, it's pretty wild stuff. I think on the first mission as well, they had a patient from St. Jude's actually go into space with Jared, which, I mean, it's pretty wild stuff, right? When we think about it, I don't think that it's as approachable as maybe many people think in this, 21st century we're living in, right? Like, not that many people go to space generally, but then to have like civilians go to space, and now to have civilians doing a spacewalk, it's pretty nutty stuff. But it's also like very inspirational in the sense that we're pushing the boundaries, right? And I think that's a really, I would say, cool way to frame the partnership between Shift 4, the Giving Block, and St. Jude. It's right. It's like where technology meets real world outcomes. And while Shift 4 and the Giving Block may enable some of the infrastructure to make donating or paying for things easier, right? Like St. Jude's is also pushing the envelope in terms of critical research to help folks that are most at risk and most in need. And I think it's a really awesome thing to be able to highlight on this episode. I would encourage anybody who is listening or tuning in to check out at Polaris Program on X, check out St. Jude, do any relevant, education, or just dive in and see what they've been up to. I think it's a really awesome cause, and their folks have been phenomenal to work with. We're very grateful to have them as a client, and quite frankly, encourage all who where it's appropriate to maybe make a donation or at least just educate and check it out. Amplify on Twitter and socials. I always say Twitter, it's X. I keep forgetting that, right? Like we should probably get better on that one. But all that to say, right? It's an amazing cause. I think we're very lucky to be in their orbit, and that's full pun intended there, obviously. But I mean, what a cool way to maybe switch things up from a podcast kind of template perspective for us too. We're very lucky to get this amazing content to be able to share with folks. Switching gears maybe and kind of coming into closing here, because I know we're almost at time, but Emily, would love to maybe, have one final touch point from you. We have a lot of folks that maybe are on the fence or just kind of getting up to speed on crypto philanthropy. Maybe they're wondering, like, if you're working with the Giving Block or looking at any opportunities to fundraise crypto, I think a lot of folks may think that they have to get up to speed very quickly or be experts, or maybe they think they're going it alone, even if they have a technology solution. I know you're like the literal embodiment of the fact that that's not true. So would love to maybe hear from you, and maybe if you could share any parting wisdom with our listeners here on what it is that you're up to, and maybe where they can reach out to us and our team.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest things from my team's side, so I work on the client strategy side, and when we say client strategy, we really mean client fundraising, client success, client support, and really giving you everything you need strategically in order to be successful in this space. And guess what? Being successful in this space does not mean you can list 10 different types of crypto. That does not matter. It's really the tools that we provide you. So next week, speaking of tools, we will be releasing our end of year toolkit that will have in it everything you need, from email campaign templates, social media templates, direct mail templates, show you how to easily pop in a QR code. So for those who might be listening and not yet a client, I would say, don't worry, we take the guesswork out of everything, which is the beauty of partnering with the Giving Block. It's really more than a platform. It is a partnership where if you have questions, if your team has questions, if your board's nervous, we're here to support you through that. Half of our team at the Giving Block comes from the nonprofit sector. So we actually, when we say crypto philanthropy, the Giving Block embodies that. We represent, half of the team is started in crypto very early. The other half of the team has been in philanthropy for a long time. And so we have this beautiful blend of resources, and also really understanding for so many of our nonprofit clients where those barriers are. We've honestly come up against all of it and worked through it with our clients so that they can fundraise effectively. So yeah, I would say don't be intimidated. It takes we really do work to take the guesswork out of everything. And then the final thing is just understanding a little bit about why end of year is so important for crypto fundraising. The tax incentives. I know all nonprofits listening to this will understand this one. The tax incentives are exactly the same as stock. So just like you target your stock donors during end of year to give to you because they can offset some of their capital gains, same exact thing with crypto. You're helping your donors actually give you more. The average crypto stock and DAF gifts are over 32 times higher than the average cash gift online. So when you're thinking about online fundraising, you can't discount these other ways to give. And with stock and DAFs now, actually, you might think, oh, we're nowhere near crypto. Well, the stock market now has Bitcoin spot ETFs and Ethereum spot ETFs. So you can actually buy crypto on this traditional stock market. And donor advised funds are made up of stocks and crypto, as well as everything else that you traditionally know and love for a donor advised fund. So your donors might actually be investing in crypto in these other ways already. And if not, I know every single nonprofit wants more donors. They want younger donors. That's going to be that next generation. And the asset of choice is crypto. So you really have nothing to lose and everything to gain from fundraising crypto.
Well, you heard it here. The main through line, if you or your board has a objection, bring it to Emily and her team. No, yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, yeah, I think that was a really great, succinct way of describing, I think, some of the things that we do maybe behind the scenes or with our current folks. So from an outsider's perspective, I think that's just a really great window into, how it all happens and some of the secret sauce that helps kind of donors and nonprofits find each other and through, the crypto medium even. Emily, I want to say thank you so much for coming on and joining myself. I know I'll give a big thank you from Nick as well. And I think that's going to do it for episode 15 of This Week in Crypto Philanthropy. I want to give a huge shout out to Emily Facilla, Director of Client Strategy here at the Giving Block, for joining us. Thank you so much from myself, from Nick, and the rest of the team. The other thing I want to shout out for everybody who is listening in, if you want to follow along the Polaris program, it's at Polaris Program on X. You'll be seeing real-time updates as to when the mission might actually launch. So keep tuned for that because it could be any day, weather dependent. Want to say shout out to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital for everything they do, pushing the limit of helping those in need and critical research. And then finally want to wish Jared, our CEO, and the rest of the Polaris Dawn mission a successful and safe journey. For everybody listening in, can't wait to have you back next week. I think we'll be getting Nick to come back on, and appreciate you tuning in.